Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Arc Raiders. Today I've got a pile of things that I want to talk to you about. Things that are just interesting and unusual to look at, as well as just a pile of tips and tricks that I do think are relevant and useful right now. So let's begin. Firstly, the patch of 1.12 has dropped, and man was it whopping 4 bullet points. Now, it's completely fine for them to do tiny patches like this. They're important, especially with the context of this patch. We're talking about dealing with exploiters and some major problems with the game. So even if it's small, it is an important one. Now, admittedly, I did think that this would be a much more relevant patch, especially with the data mine stuff with the toxic swamp event on damn battlegrounds. The fact that the sticher nerf didn't come in the balance patch, so we were fully expecting the following week the sticher nerf to actually come, and maybe a bunch of other things. And based on that also being around the data mine and the toxic swamp, maybe it'd be a major patch. And the big thing here is that I want to give you a warning about this patch, because while it says that they're dealing with some of the out of bounds or wall exploit or whatever you want to call it, and they have addressed a bunch of them, specifically on Stellamontis, there are plenty of reports that on Stellamontis, there are loads of wall exploit options still, especially around the seed vault, apparently. So be ready for more of that, especially on other maps outside of Stellamontis, where this is a major issue on, say, damn battlegrounds, and those things don't seem to have been addressed. So while it is an important patch, it hasn't hit like across the board, and I imagine it's going to take them a while. Maybe every Tuesday, every mini patch will have a new exploit and a new wall fixed, but it's not as big and expansive and a full fix as you might have hoped. So there's your warning. Now, in lighter news, in the recent patch, the giant barons or titans or whatever we're going to call them, they're missing from outside, say, Bluegate and other maps. They're like wandering around. It's been a cool thing from the start of the game. And at least in my experience on Bluegate, this is where I would often see them in the distance, and I've just noticed I'm not seeing them anymore. Other people have started talking about this on Reddit and social medias as well, so we might have a subtle shift on our hands. In fact, there's something in the distance on Bluegate instead now. If you look down like southwards or whatever, there's this huge black cloud of smoke and drifting in the distance and seeming explosions. And people are starting to call, is that a new thing foreshadowing something in the future? Popular theories around this tie into whatever the next map could be. People are hoping for something different, like a hot environment, in contrast to, Cold Snap that's now gone. Maybe a volcano theme map, or something of that nature. Definitely a cool thought. But one cool comment I saw about this topic is the fact that the game's set in Italy, right? Quite near to Naples. And I'm definitely going to mispronounce this, but there's a mountain on Mount Vesuvius where there's a volcano. So it wouldn't be too far of a far-fetched concept. There is a volcano in Italy, and this game is set in that region. And interestingly, historically, that volcano is actually tied to the destruction of Pompeii. So it's a cool concept for them to go with, and feels like solid enough, even though it's just a tiny thing on the map that's appeared in a recent patch. Now, outside of that, where are the barons or titans? Where have they gone? And will they ever become an enemy like a queen or matriarch, as many have speculated since we first looked at them? Well, we do have a bit of information about that idea. In an interview with Games Radar recently, the design lead for the game, Virgil Watkins, talked about the future of Arc, and obviously they're going to introduce more, but he talked about some really cool concepts where they were referring to them as variants. So you could have a bastion, and you have the normal one that's a machine gunner heavily armored. And a variant would just be a different kind of bastion. So in reference to that, you could have a different movement pattern. You could have a different weapon instead of a machine gun. Maybe they'd move around the weaknesses and that kind of thing. And on that note, they don't plan to introduce another six-legged giant spidery robot like we're seeing with these barons or titans, since that fits that category. Very much right now, they feel the player base has kind of understood that design of Arc, and they're looking right now of how they can take that kind of experience to something new or additional to what we're used to with the matriarch and queen. How can they escalate that experience? So the idea of a giant Arc like a matriarch queen, new variant of that, different version of that, very much on the table, but they're currently trying to come up with something a bit fresh and different that doesn't feel too similar to the queen and matriarch. And as far as I know, them not being around anymore, it's interesting. Right, here's a tip for you. Did you know during the locked gate event where you need to go into the checkpoint and then lead into the Manticore labs in that area, the whole fact that that event leads to the bobcat blueprints, that's where you can find them during locked gate. Well, it's a misconception that you need to go into the checkpoint, into the Manticore labs and loot those locations. If you do want the bobcat, you want to increase the odds that you find it, right? So the black lockers, the black square lockers, and the black boxes, those are ideal targets because that's where you're going to find weapon blueprints, attachment blueprints, augment blueprints, and of course the bobcat. Since they're in a condensed area, they're the correct type of container, you're doing a specific event, the odds are very high that you'll find one, or at least a lot higher than otherwise. But the truth is, you don't actually need to go into those locations and loot those containers to get a bobcat. Simply being on the map during the locked gate event is technically all you need for the bobcat to spawn. So for example, you see me looting one outside of the checkpoint on Manticore area. I pull one just from a locker that was near Pilgrim's Peak, certainly not in the underground section once it's open. This was actually before the checkpoint gate was open. So basically, be aware of, ideally going to the checkpoint and looting those locations, but be very aware before the gates open, you can just be looting many containers on the map and have that chance of a bobcat. Another quick tip, one that I really like. How do you kill a surveyor super quickly? Well, in this case, this one's already damaged to be fair, but it's seeker grenades. The idea of a seeker grenade is it's going to lock onto a target and smash it from really long distances. In fact, it goes way further than, say, throwing a wolf pack. To kill a surveyor from 100 to 0, you actually only need 2 seeker grenades. But one of them needs to hit it while it's exposed. So as you can see with surveyors, they open up, they do that blue light, great way to find them, and if you shoot their insides there, you do like extra damage or they don't have the armor protecting them. If an explosive hits that, it's GG. Now a seeker grenade doesn't do a massive amount of damage, but it does hit accurately in this way. So from far away, which is the distance you need to be to actually, let a surveyor expose itself, you aim a seeker grenade to smash right into that. If it's already damaged in even a little bit, it'll just die as you can see. But if you're doing 100 to 0, it's 1 seeker grenade to the exposed core while it's doing that blue light, then 1 follow-up and it's done. This allows you to kill a surveyor before it can even move in response to the first one because you can just chuck 2 seeker grenades really quick. And it's basically my favorite way to kill surveyors now, even better than a trigger grenade. Killing a surveyor really quick is incredibly satisfying, and a seeker grenade, just 2 of them, isn't even hard to run. Here's a big one that I was working on recently, the matriarch and the queen. I want to highlight the fact that they have these yellow, weak joints, just like the bastions and bombardiers. And dealing damage to a weak point is indeed a damage multiplier. Ideally, you'd be shooting a core. This is shown by the visual sparks when you shoot these locations, or the sound effect that they can play too. Now, by targeting a queen's legs, you can break off the lower and upper armor separately, as well as say the matriarch legs. This reveals the joint. But the joint, initially, is actually also armored by this kind of circular grey plating. Now, if you go under the leg, you can now see up and into the joint where you can clearly see the yellow weak point. Again, shooting that is a damage multiplier, so you want to shoot that. So you'd reveal that and that'd be great. But did you realize that you can continue shooting the armored joint itself, the grey plate, and eventually it becomes worn with small holes in it, giving you a new way to hit the yellow weakness. And if you continue to shoot that plate until it fully falls off, it completely exposes the yellow weakness point, and it's now an easy thing to blast for great DPS. So this is a great alternative to the core, especially in the context of not being able to shoot the core. The queen, even when fully exposed with the head plating removed, it's still quite hard to hit that core even when you can actually see it, where it's a lot easier with the matriarch. So for just raw damage and a damage multiplier, even with hullcracker shots or whatever damage you have, putting it into that yellow exposed joint and working them down is a great alternative. And this is how I'm killing queens and also matriarchs without shooting the core. I'm just shooting those legs by stripping them off. Another topic that I want to talk about is the change to the matriarch on the dam. When she was initially revealed on Dam Battlegrounds, you had it here at the breach. And this was such a good place because you could go on the pipeline tower roof and fight it there, or either side of the floodgates honestly would work fantastically. And to be fair, it was a bit overly easy in that context, that location. You want to be above the matriarch. So when they moved it from the breach, it makes sense. But where they put it is so awful. They've put her basically here by the water towers and the electrical substation. And it's awful if you fight in the electrical substation because not only are you on the ground, you have nothing covering your top, And the towers, they're tiny and exposed. And she spawns one bastion, bombardier, any ground arc, it's over for you. So where the hell are you meant to properly fight her from? Well, I actually find it best here on this unmarked location. It's kind of an antenna platform, and there's a few container spawns up there, so I go there sometimes anyway. But basically, this electric station, there's a small building for hard cover above you, but this huge spike rock is a fantastic cover for your flashbangs and also the accurate missile fire, allowing you to peek to the left and right, shooting her legs or the core or whatever you want to do. And because you're above her, you're also protected from all the ground arc. The only real threat here would be, say, a leaper or a rocketeer. Both are manageable by using the cover you have up there with a small building. But in a panic button, there's also a pre-set up zipline you can do. You can go down to a spawn bunker and go down into that to deal with a rocketeer or leaper, or just take cover if things go wrong. So I actually find it a great location and one of the best ones to go for dealing with the matriarch in that area, which, by the way, is probably the hardest place to fight her now. To piggyback off that topic, the matriarch on Blue Gate is probably the easiest one. She spawns over here in this like little divot, and you can fight her from reinforced reception or the warehouses, but it's honestly best here at the head house. The reason for that circle area being the best is because you've got direct cover over you while you're in it. You get these nice windows to look out from, and there's these little pillars along the circle to give you hard cover. If she comes close enough, you can shoot the exposed core for great damage, and if you need to, there's 2 levels to the ledges behind you, letting you drop down for hard cover. Behind that is even a long walkway leading down for even more space. Then you're well placed to deal with a leaper, a rocketeer, a bombardier, and the bastions because of those pillars that you can peek left and right and work the legs down, whatever. And if you're doing this in a chill, low aggression lobby, it's so easy because everyone comes here, loads of people helping, you get the kill really quick on the matriarch, and all the ground arc are dealt with really well. Just my advice, you want to sneak the loot for any parts that fall off as soon as possible because people do go in and snipe them mid-fight, so you got to pick your moment. Alright, last thing I want to talk about for this first Things episode for Arc Raiders is that new skins have actually been revealed early thanks to NPCs walking around in the background of Speranza. So here I am in the lobby, and behind me we actually see a few skins. Let's see if we can find them. We have this brown jacket one with the helmet, and we have this, I think it's called the Marsh Walker. So let's go look at the skins and find them. So there's that jacket. I believe they had it in the brown version like this, and they're wearing the helmet. That's a popular skin. There were 2 people wearing another skin right next to them though. And here it is. It's actually the Bog Walker, not Marsh Walker. And they had it in the white and purple variant. This is what they're wearing. I think they just had the hoods down and the helmet off, like so. So yes, you can definitely see skins while you're just sat here in the lobby behind you. Really cool detail. But the fact that some skins were revealed early by these NPCs walking around in the background, isn't that neat? So you can actually see skins before they release to have an idea if you're going to like them or not, just by being in the game. But you know, I've actually seen multiple skins yet to release at the time in the launch trailer for Arc Raiders, such as the super recent 1.11 skin with that red eye. Looks really cool in this trailer moment, but to the side of them, there's that armored kind of rugby player-esque one that I'm wearing right now. That was revealed very early too by this trailer. So that's the torpedo set right there. And then the more newer Abyss set, that was the one also in the center frame of that shot. This one just came out, and yet it was like a feature in the launch trailer where he's holding, I believe that's a Jupiter. So yeah, some skins have definitely been planned well in advance, understandably. But at this point, I feel like we must have seen all of them that have been revealed early. Maybe in the future we'll see NPCs walking around in Speranza in the background wearing something new. So there you have it. That's my first just sort of general things and different topics. Some useful stuff, some just interesting details and speculation. If you enjoyed it, do drop a like and maybe I'll come back and do another. I've got a few ideas for another episode, but if you guys have anything of this nature, be it tips or just interesting details or speculation, let us know in the comments and we might just talk about it. And if I do, I'll credit you. But for now, thank you for watching. I've been Hollow, you've been you. We'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.